The birth rate has declined because guess what? I can barely make ends meet as it is right now for me. I can barely take care of myself. Why would I add one more cost?
I still don't understand how people my age are having children. It's like, how are you guys affording that?
Babies. They're cute, expensive, and I may have accidentally dropped one off a cliff in Super Mario 64. Ask anyone my age why they're not having kids, and they'll tell you it's because we can't afford them. Which would make sense, except that the world's richest 20-somethings are actually having fewer kids than the average Gen Zer. So what is really clogging up the global baby-making supply chain? Well, the statistics show we just stopped wanting them for 3 reasons that nobody is prepared to talk about. For centuries, young men and women have worked together closely on ambitious projects like families or civilization. But in 2026, they are more like 2 raccoons in a garbage bag.
More and more Gen Z women are trying to date millennial men because they missed the red pill manosphere stuff.
It's your body, my choice.
Their views as a collective are actually more misogynistic than boomers.
Because feminism and the left in the present day do absolutely nothing to support men. They do the opposite. They demonize, they stigmatize.
Guys, I don't know what's happening right now, but men our age are literally evolving backwards.
It's interesting to see that the hoes are mad that we caught onto their game.
Our politics are kicking the can down the road on family formation. According to Gallup, American men and women under age 29 have the largest ideological divide ever recorded, with women trending sharply liberal while men drift more and more conservative. How does this all connect to having babies? Well, a large-scale Pew survey found that a majority of liberal women would be willing to limit how many children they have in service of a high-paying career, while 70% of conservative women would sacrifice their career in order to have a larger family. And if you think this divide is just a America problem, the same results show up in the UK, Germany, and most interestingly, South Korea, a country with the lowest birth rate on planet Earth and the largest political divide between genders as well. 2 stats that are soul-crushing. Get it? Because soul? Enjoy those dad jokes while you still have dads, Korea. Around 2018, South Korean women launched something called the 4B movement, a pledge of 4 no's. No sex with men, no dating, no marrying, no kids. And Korean men radicalized right back. In 2022, they narrowly helped Yoon Suk-yeol win the presidency on a campaign of explicitly pledging to abolish the Ministry of Gender Equality. Politics used to be this thing that couples argued about over dinner. Now it's something that decides if dinner happens at all. And for what? According to Pew Research, over a quarter of politicians are power-hungry pedophiles. Okay, that one's not real, but it's directionally correct. Here's what I think is actually going on. Everybody is terrified of getting hurt, and vetting someone takes months. So our generation uses politics as a shortcut, a filter. But man, is it a stupid filter. Politics are just about the most temporary thing about people. Ask your parents who they voted for 20 years ago.
So I know that a little later on this year, you're going to have another one of those really swell presidential elections that you like so much. You'll enjoy yourselves. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm sure as soon as the election is over, your country will improve immediately. As for me, I'll be home on that day doing essentially the same thing as you. The only difference is when I get finished masturbating, I'm going to have a little something to show for it, folks.
But what about couples? They are waiting longer and longer into relationships before having kids as well. In 1976, the average age of a first-time mother in America was 22 years old. Today, 50 years later, it's 29. And in places like Canada, it's all the way up to 32. You know, the biggest thing I hear from my generation is that lack of affordability is the biggest roadblock to having kids. Give us all free healthcare, affordable housing, good-paying jobs, and we'd be popping them out like Genghis Khan. Except a lot of countries do provide all those things. Sweden has free daycare, paid maternity leave, subsidized single-family housing. It is the 13th most affordable country on planet Earth. Bottom 20% in birth rates. Hungary eliminated all income tax on families with 3 kids or more. Didn't work. South Korea has spent $270 billion on fertility maxing. Pays every couple $22,000 per newborn child, which is probably being rolled up and put into SanDisk call options as we speak. That country has a serious gambling problem. Money ain't moving the birth rate. So, has any intervention worked this decade? Yes, actually. There is this one weird yet successful story, and it reveals a lot about human nature. In the country of Georgia, birth rates had been falling for nearly a decade after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Then one day in 2007, the patriarch of the Georgian Orthodox Church, Ilya II, the most holy, beloved man in the entire country, made an announcement. He says, any married couple that has a third child or more, I will personally baptize that baby and be its godfather. No cash, no tax credit, just a holy post-Soviet grandpa blessing your baby. Take a guess at what happened to births. Up 2%? 5%? Try 28% in 2 years. Researchers put it at 0.3 extra children per woman in the country between 2008 to 2010. He was godfather to over 30,000 children, a role that Vito Corleone had to murder people for. Which tells you a lot about what the actual roadblock is. We keep pricing kids like they're a purchase people can no longer afford. They're a purchase that people no longer get credit for. What do you think would happen to the birth rate in America overnight if Taylor Swift and LeBron James became godparents and baptized every newborn baby? Man, if it was Danny DeVito, I'd be having triplets. Status is the real currency of being human. High status people get handed power, opportunities, and lighter prison sentences. Every society runs an implied scoreboard, and each scoreboard rewards different things. Traditional societies rewarded piety, duty, and motherhood. Today's scoreboard pays out for individual achievements, the career, the credentials, the freedom, or in my case, explaining economics to strangers online instead of giving my mother the grandchild she always asks about at dinner. Success on that scoreboard requires an inordinate amount of time, skill, and freedom to take risks. And children, they are the single largest claim that another human can have on all of those things. There's no appeals process. The judge is for and wants chicken nuggets and may or may not be shitting his diaper. Oh yeah, and one more little upgrade. We took that implied scoreboard that lived vaguely inside of our heads and we turned it into an application as addictive as heroin. All of these articles and YouTube videos about why Gen Z isn't having kids all point to differing statistics and reasons. Higher college attendance among women, delayed marriage rates, urbanization, all of them lead back to status. It isn't pretty or maybe nice to say, but we want what the people we admire want. And nobody Gen Z admires is admired for being a parent. The people winning at careers, followings, freedom, all the items on this generation's scoreboard, very few of them have kids, and the ones that do rarely lead with it. So it's a little bit savage to say, maybe a little bit vapid, but desire follows status, and right now, kids in your 20s isn't earning much. But real quick, I don't know about you, but I pay 35% of my income in taxes every year. That is the cost of raising a small child. Instead, I raise a rabbit with no eyeballs. If you freelance or own a business and you also happen to own Bitcoin, you should check out Abundant Minds. It's a service that I use to save thousands annually with over a dozen legal tax-saving strategies, all while helping set you up with a small income-generating Bitcoin mining operation. Basically a machine that prints you money that the IRS treats the same as buying a tractor. Check out the link here to see how much you could save. My rabbit thanks you. She can't see the link, but you can. So, what is my take as a childless 30-year-old? Kids are awesome. We definitely shouldn't be dropping them off cliffs. Best case, you're sending a mini version of yourself out into the world to hopefully make it a better place than you could alone. Worst case, you're learning full-hearted to be responsible for someone else other than yourself. But why has the decision to have them become everyone else's business? Politicians, YouTube videos, Elon Musk has tweeted about the birth rate crisis more times than he's probably hung out with his 9th kid. My rule of thumb is whenever someone says we need to do this, I follow the money. And on this issue, it gets a bit suspicious where the whole thing leads. In most Western countries, 10 to 12% of your entire working life income goes to fund the retirement of people older than you. That's right, your pension contributions do not go to you. They fund current retirees. Your pension is funded by whoever's working when you get old. In 1945, right after America launched Social Security, this wasn't a problem because there were 42 workers for every one retiree. Today, there's fewer than 3 for every one. Governments make trillions in retirement promises backed by workers who don't even exist yet. Wall Street would call that a fetus-backed security. So when the birth rate drops, it becomes a solvency crisis for the entire country. For most of human history, children were the pension. You raised them and then they took care of you in old age. But in the last 80 years, the state has taken a massive part out of both of those roles. It became a third parent to our kids, public schools, subsidies, daycares, but it also became a substitute caretaking child for our parents via pensions and government-run care homes. A lot of the jobs that a typical family would do outsourced to a government agency. Raising a child through the Black Plague or World War I was way harder than it is today. People did it anyways because their children or their family was their only safety net. It came at an immense cost, but it had an implicit return. Strip that away and don't be surprised if a chunk of the desire falls with it. As Sweden and South Korea have found out, desire cannot be taxed or bribed into existence. It can only be inspired. So, as a childless YouTuber filming this on a Tuesday afternoon instead of getting a real job, let me try and do a little bit of that inspiring. We are headed into an insane century of AI, robotics, wealth inequality, changing global empires. But we are all also going to live a really, really long time, longer than any other generation before us. And it's going to suck to have to go through all that without some unconditional love. Will raising a child in that world be difficult? Will you make mistakes? Absolutely. You might hand your baby off to a strange man with a mustache, but you might not. Whatever is coming could use some good people in it, and somebody's got to make them. No pressure, but you look like you'd be pretty good at it.